All right, thank everybody for coming today. I know we didn't tell you a lot of information, but I think you'll be pleased that your directors and producers allowed you to come. So today we are announcing the 11th month-long undercover operation known as Operation Santa's Naughty Little Sellers. There definitely won't be on Santa's good list. This operation started in January 2022 and culminated today as we are rounding up these poison peddlers. It resulted in 24 search warrants, a seizure of street value of $5.7 million in illegal drugs. We have arrested so far 18 out of 35. We are still looking for the others. We have seized enough heroin and fentanyl in this operation that has the potential to kill 2.3 million people based on the DEA's fatal dose amount. We have seized in this operation not only heroin and fentanyl, but cocaine, synthetic cathinones, also known on the street as MDMA, morphine, Suboxone, steroids, psilocybin, or mushrooms, Dilaudid, and other drugs, including THC and cannabis, methamphetamine. We seized 13 firearms in this investigation, 7 of which were rifles and 6 were handguns, and we seized just under $42,000 in cash, taking the profits away from these drug dealers. These dealers have sold their poison near schools. In some cases, it was a family affair where we arrested the 2 sons/brothers and a father that were selling poison. In another family business, it was 2 brothers selling poison, and the list goes on. This investigation is ongoing, and many of these suspects will face additional charges, either because they had drugs on them when they were arrested or because we are still conducting further investigations. In fact, today, as we were trying to apprehend one of the suspects, he fled from us in his vehicle, throwing drugs out of the vehicle, and then he finally came to a stop, and we found trafficking amounts of fentanyl inside his vehicle. So when you get your press release, you won't have that information on it, but we will get it to you. So I think a total of 3 additional charges of the people that we went after today were found with drugs on their person. I want to commend our undercover team, our Special Investigations Unit, our SWAT team, our patrol teams, our PACE, Evidence, CSI, and our detention and booking teams. This was truly an agency-wide effort to make our community safer from these poison peddlers. And I especially want to thank our community. Many of the tips that we received came in from the community because community neighbors, people living on streets, they know when something's wrong in their neighborhood. And they call us with that information under our See Something, Say Something program. And sometimes it takes 11 months to make the cases, but today they get to see the results of those tips and the ability that the agency has to investigate it and see their tip come into fruition. So my message to the community, if you have a poison peddler that you think is living near you, give us a call, send us a tip, call Crime Stoppers. We will actively search, investigate it, and then the next roundup we do, hopefully we'll get your poison peddler at that point and clean up your neighborhood too. The one thing I also want to mention, with $5.7 million in street value of drugs, enough fentanyl that potentially could kill 2.3 million people, how many lives this operation saved, and how many overdoses will not occur because of the drugs that were seized during this operation. We'll never know the answer to that, but I think it's important to mention that. To the poison peddlers that we haven't arrested yet or found, I suggest that if your name is on this board and it doesn't say arrested under their name, you have two choices. You can call us, we'll come pick you up. You can turn yourself in at the Green Roof Inn. And I guess there is a third choice. You can continue to walk around looking over your shoulder and wondering when the deputy sheriff is going to snatch you off the street and put you in jail. So I would encourage you to turn yourself in if we haven't got you yet, because it's only a matter of time that you're going to go to the Green Roof Inn as our Christmas present for you and for the illegal activities that you have been doing. And this should also be a warning to drug dealers that if you're not listed on this board, because we know that there's other drug dealers out here, and there's likely going to be people that will take their place. I suggest you move out of Flagler County, go somewhere else, because we have a community that's engaged with us. They know that we take these tips seriously, and so we will investigate you. And by God, if you kill someone with that fatal dose of poison, we're going to do everything we can to investigate you for murder and put you in prison for as long as the state will do it. We have a number of cases that we're investigating as homicides for the fatal dose, and some of these people actually may be part of an investigation that's ongoing, and so they may be facing some very serious charges in the future. So that's my comments prepared about this operation. Again, I want to commend our Special Investigations Unit. They're the ones that really built these cases and worked hard almost around the clock to make these cases. And I was out with them some this morning, and in some other raids and search warrants that we did leading up to today. And they worked very hard for this community to keep this scourge out of our community. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Sheriff, is this, would this be an in-Flagler operation, meaning were they selling outside or creating it, making it, selling it outside of this area? Or is this more right here in our neck of the woods in these neighborhoods?
So it's mostly the sellers that we arrested are all Flagler County residents. Now, they'll sell to anybody that brings them the cash, okay? And the drugs are not necessarily, they're coming from somewhere, right? So there are connections that we are continuing to investigate. I wish I could talk about an operation that we had that you probably got wind of that was involving multiple agencies just a few months ago, but we're embargoed on that information by the federal agencies, and once they finish their prosecution, they've told us that they will allow us to tell you about that operation, but we can't do it now. So this particular case was all local drug sellers.
And by virtue of these arrests, how much of a dent do you think you put in Flagler County's narcotics problem?
Well, you know, you're not going to really put a major dent until we have a combination of enforcement, education, and treatment. And so that's why we have the programs in our jail to try to treat people so that they don't go back to this lifestyle. But we're moving in the right direction, and but it takes all three pieces for that to work. So probably right now it's going to be a little bit harder to find your drugs if you're a user, because people are going to be afraid to sell for a little while, and a lot of the dealers are now going to jail. But we know that, you know, this is an ongoing problem. So, you know, we do the best that we can in the law enforcement side, but you really need the support of all of those components to have a true impact.
Were these dealers, some of them connected, or some of them like an organized group, all of them, or some of them?
I wouldn't call this group like an organized group of dealers, but they are loosely connected. I think is what I would say. And I think the operation that we did with federal agencies would show a little bit more of the connection. But can't discuss
Is
it.
there more than one kingpin, or is there a kingpin in all this, or a queenpin?
Well, I would defer that to my special investigations sergeant if he would like to weigh in on that. What I can tell you is we know that there are families that do it. Like I mentioned, there's a father and his 2 sons we have arrest warrants for, and then 2 brothers. And then, so I wouldn't say kingpin per se. I wouldn't want to give them that title. But obviously, they know where to go get their drugs, and so do we, and we're working our way up the ladder as best as we can.
Sheriff, any idea where these sellers are getting their drugs, where they're coming from?
A lot of it's coming out of Orlando, Palatka, and Daytona, quite frankly. And I'll say other states. Any other questions? All right, again, thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate it, and helping us get the word out to the community and to the drug dealers. So, thank you.